I think the cold email marketing agency space in general is a very like personal, very generational. You know what I'm saying? And so, what's up, guys? Got another podcast here today. It's Michael Falato from THROTTLE Leads. Super interesting guy. Different kind of background than people we've interviewed recently. He founded his company kind of later in life, but very interesting nonetheless. Cold email agency, reliable business that works, reliable business model. So check it out. And we also get into different kind of cold emails that I've written in the past and reviewing sort of the software that was on the podcast, Salesforce, the other day. Enjoy. The One Podcast here. Interesting episode. Michael Falato here. A cold email, I guess, savant or a legend, I would say. I don't know.
I call it expert.
Expert. A guy I met a few years ago and sort of, just talking shop when I was kind of doing agency as well. Mike, do you want to kind of give a short background of people as far as you and Full Throttle and what you're doing?
Sure. Been in sales for about 25 years. Was really doing software sales, sports marketing, human capital. And over the last 25 years, I've been doing lead gen myself. We've been hiring SDRs and saying, okay, let's see if we can get meetings. And we never really worked that well. So basically 3 years ago, I started my own company doing lead gen automation and developed an engineer to basically say, okay, I need to just send out 20 to 30,000 emails that get delivered. So I basically have an engineer do that. I do email and LinkedIn automation. So LinkedIn is basically send out 150 emails a day. And then I do roundtables, which is let's get expertise. Let's get people together and grew this into a $1 million business in less than 2 years.
Nice. Cool. So I definitely want to get into all the lead gen. I've got that background, so I'm going to put you in the hot seat, hit some key topics. But just even skipping that a little bit, you mentioned your career and kind of background. So you started the business 3 years ago. Did you ever have any inklings kind of before that about like starting a business in general or a lead gen business? Like, were you thinking about entrepreneurship or kind of,
I have a friend that
we're a sales guy, so.
Yeah, I have a friend that's a factoring company. It's making 20, 30 million. I'm like, he's like, you got to start your own company. I'm like, what am I going to do?
Yeah.
So I wanted to, but I just didn't think I could, or, if you're going to do consulting, you could do 3 to 4 clients and you're done, which is good. You get 20, 30,000 a month, but
right.
I wanted to have a repeatable, scalable approach. And I didn't want to really build a platform to compete with like Zoom Info or Outreach.io or any of those things. So it kind of fell in my lap. I was working at TechMate, developing their outreach. We almost broke the domain using HubSpot and Gmail to send out emails, and found better ways to do that. And then once I'd left and did my own company, I've realized that I have a pretty big knowledge database of things to do, and also a contact database. So I basically built it pretty fast within a month or two to about 15,000 a month. I'm like, okay, I'm on the right path. So I kind of found my lap just because I was doing it for another company, and they said, you got to hire some SDRs, right? And I was hiring my kids, and I'm like, well, how are we going to pay these kids? And PayPal doesn't really work for them. So they told me to start my LLC. I did that, and it kind of grew a monster. That's how it got started. It kind of got started on accident a little bit.
So when you had, I guess for people, you had a pretty, I would say, typical sort of tech sales trajectory, right? You started at, account exec, worked your way up, multiple different VP sales, top sales positions. Were you was email and LinkedIn like always in the outbound stack in those roles, or like how did that when did that come into play and start becoming valuable? Like you mentioned, obviously, like a big misconception, I think 5 or 6 years ago, or even before that, was people were sending emails through the CRM like there wasn't all these like different platforms and things that people were using. Even Zoom Info and Apollo like didn't come out or get popular until recently. So what in when did that sort of come into play, and or was it always a big part for like the past 20 or so years?
Well, my outreach has always been Full Throttle, which is, the Full Throttle name is really me. So it's a good company name, but doing it repeatable and scalable approach has not been that great until HubSpot came out. And I was trying to mess with Yesware and other things. And it's not a good idea, to be honest with you. It gets your domain in bad shape. So yeah, definitely these other platforms that came out are good, but they weren't teaching the right ways of doing it. They're like, send emails, hook it to Gmail, Office 365, and you'll get leads, and if you don't clean the data and you don't have your DKIM, DMARC, SPF, MX records set up using the email engineer, you're going to really mess up your domain. And I know companies that even ruin their domain, started a new domain for their email and hook that back into a HubSpot and use that Gmail or Office 365, and then you got Yahoo and Gmail saying you can't send more than 5,000 emails a day, I think now. So there's a lot of,
February 1st thing.
yeah.
But so I guess when you were with like TechMate or something like that, were those types of companies, you were setting up domains and like doing this email process for them. Like they didn't have like a traditional sort of SDR structure, or they had that too.
Well, it was a startup. It was a seed round.
Got it. So they were okay. I get it. They were
Yeah.
bootstrapped and then
The company before that, JobVite, had ruined their JobVite email and had to change its JobVite-inc.com.
they're doing their main domain or something.
Yeah, HubSpot. And I was not an SDR, but we had SDRs, and I was sending out 2,000 or 3,000 emails a week. And I didn't realize that it would ruin the domain back then. I was just a VP of sales in the Southeast. But you learn by losing, by doing stuff wrong. And I've done enough of that at other companies that now what I do for a living, I've already done other things wrong. And then now I know how to do them right. So that's, you get up and you brush yourself off. Hey, let's do it a different way. Just like I'm a black belt jiu-jitsu.
I was going to mention that.
You get tapped and you go like, well, maybe I shouldn't do that again.
Yeah. But were any, like you met, I know a big part of your sales pitch is the total, like the number, right? 30,000 or whatever it is. Were you ever doing that in any of your sales roles? Like where you were sending that quantity of emails, or that came when you started the business?
It was the job fight approach when I kind of got into having almost unlimited Zoom credits and stuff. And so I was sitting, I remember there's a leaderboard of the SDRs, and then there was a sales guy, Michael Falato, that had more emails being sent out. And
So you're just reinventing the wheel and kind of like showing them how it's done, basically.
I was just saying, listen, you're not going to, it's a volume game, but it's a volume game with the right message to the right person. Then you have to follow up, and then you got to look at their LinkedIn and go, oh, I see that you went to Syracuse, whatever. So
Nice. Okay, cool. So I guess shifting gears then. So this was like post COVID when you started the company, or what year was it when you started?
wow, it was 2020. So it was during COVID because I was working at TechMate for about 6 months while I was doing this, because I was basically kind of getting my wife aligned to kind of do it herself, but it wasn't something that probably she could have done by herself. So I basically started doing it more. And then I'm like, wait, there's way more money doing this, because I got up to about 80,000 a month now. I'm like, I'll never work for someone ever again.
Nice. So the proof is kind of in the pudding there.
It's repeatable, scalable. And when you write something, make it emotional here and mental. Ask me, who cares? So what? Why are you telling me this? How's this going to help my business? What's the fear of missing out? And don't sell me. Just let's just have a cup of coffee, a virtual cup of coffee, and see if we can make something work.
Nice. Did you
People
see
sell. Many people market in their emails and don't listen.
Got it. One last question before getting into the email stuff, but was there any, like in your sales career, did you see anybody like branch off and do like consulting or an agency on the side that inspired you to do this? or was it really just I can do this better? Or did anybody reach out to you like, hey, I know you're so good at this with tech.
Great question. Yeah, this happened, a domino effect. Obviously, TechMate saying, hey, if we're going to hire your kids to help, we need you to start your own company. Okay. That was the first one. Yeah. Secondly, the guy at Apollo, one of my platforms I use, like, dude, why don't you just look at
Byron?
Byron? Yeah.
In a couple hours. Yeah, yeah.
Awesome
Yeah.
guy.
Podcast too.
Without him,
Yeah. That's funny.
yeah.
I remember it's like a complicated last name, but yeah, I remember you saying that. So he kind of you sort of got in like I guess the bidding or whatever. You were negotiating a contract with them, and that sort of he was working with my agency, a lot of other agencies, and I think that probably
Yeah. He was just, with a great mustache he had. So he's on his own, he's doing his own thing, but I really miss him being there. But yeah, without him saying start your own agency, I'm like, what? What the hell are you talking about? I'm like,
that's interesting.
$40,000 a year, so I listened to him. And then the guy I was working with also had this subdomain idea before that. Cause actually Apollo at the time wasn't they were using their Gmail, and they were in 6 different versions of it. So they got really good at it. But and then Byron introduced me to Benny and a couple other guys doing email, and mostly email agencies. And they paid it forward by saying, let's all get together and melt brains together.
Yeah.
Without Benny, I would have gotten my engineer. So
who is Benny? Sorry.
Benny's like, he owns Senders. Senders is a big email company. It's kind of a competitor of mine, but without Benny, I wouldn't have.
This is another cold email agency, right? That was they were more scaled up. I remember they were also in
Benny Rubin. Benny Rubin is his name. Yeah. So again, I try to pay it forward because I got advice from people. I would never have been where I'm at without Benny and Byron.
Nice.
And TechMate, to be honest with you.
Yeah. We'll mention that. Okay. So I got a couple topics that I want to break down for you. So number one, just starting the company in general. I presume you're getting most of the clients through cold email.
No, I hate cold email. I can't stand it.
Or yeah.
No, I drink.
You're not doing any like content, like you mentioned that mastermind group. So like that's my question is like, when you're scaling from like 15, 20K a month, whatever, to 80, are you doing mostly, is it mostly coming from cold referrals or that kind of content type stuff that you're?
All 3: email, LinkedIn, roundtables. Right. I started with just emails. Met a guy was just doing roundtables and go, hey, I could do this way better. He's doing this manually. And then I saw LinkedIn automation tools. Again, that got mentioned because I got hit up on automation on LinkedIn. I'm like, why don't I do this too? But LinkedIn does really well. Email does pretty good. I think LinkedIn's probably a little bit edges out emails because it's a little more personal, but you can only send out 150 activities a day. So it's very limited. And they shut down camp profiles all the time. LinkedIn's just very hard to deal with.
You do LinkedIn for the clients as well as a different product or part of the email package?
I do email, LinkedIn, and roundtables for my clients. So I do 3-prong approach. Between those 3 things, something's going to work where I get 10 to 20 sales qualified leads per month.
Is the LinkedIn automated at all or integrated with like any of the email platforms or?
Apollo has a little bit of that, but I use another platform to basically do LinkedIn. And
you want to mention which one? Is it like Expandy or something like that, or Duck Soup?
Kind of like that, but I prefer to kind of keep my tools a little bit more secret.
Fair enough. And are you also secret on what you use to send emails, or is it a white label thing? Or?
Yeah, I'd rather have people hire me than tell them.
Nice. Yeah. I get that. Okay, cool. So I guess, well, this is going to be a question that's more applicable to people who are very familiar with cold email, but in your experience, obviously the volume and getting out the volume is a big thing, but is there an importance, one factor that's more important, segmentation, customization, relevance, deliverability or just the volume? Like, what's the what
I would
it
say all of them are important because if you don't have sendability and deliverability or email engineering, it's not going to get delivered.
what would you say is the key? So a lot of people are doing it. What is the key piece that most people are missing? Like most of your clients that who maybe have been doing, have tried it beforehand. Which one? What element are they missing?
I would say don't send out more than 3 sequences, right? 3-prong approach. I mean, you're going to send 6 touches and people are going to know it's automation. They're going to get annoyed with you.
They're
So
doing too many touches.
yeah, on email, I would say they're selling about their products and services in email and not just trying to get them to book a calendar link. Put your calendar link in there, but don't just give them a link. Say, here's my calendar, or some of yours. And the third thing would be is give to get. I say, hey, I want you to be featured on a podcast like yours, which I would say that's what I would do if I was you. I would say, hey, I want to put you on this roundtable as a featured guest. We do it every Wednesday, 11 a.m. I do 11 a.m. Eastern time. So if your listeners want to join, great. It's salespeople, marketing. We talk about ChatGPT, LinkedIn strategies, everything. And it's about networking. So I give them something before I say, hey, by the way, I'm a fractional expert on lead gen and would love to chat with you. I've been doing this for 25 years. I'm a veteran. I have these clients I've worked with in the past. Let's talk about your top 30 clients, your top 30 prospects that I can bring in as clients in my first 90 days. Have a power statement and just keep it simple.
Right. Okay. So, but you wouldn't say like, I don't know what kind of niches or industries you're working with, but
B2B, just B2B.
just B2B in general. So, but would you say like, so there's a lot of something that I want to show you and I'm going to bring up is like the AI type stuff helps you, that segments the audience, personalizes the email.
Yeah.
Have you seen any like in terms of not just the copy, but just like the overall strategy? Like, have you seen that type of stuff being a huge factor that people are missing?
I think people get too cute with the AI and trying to understand why
I sort of agree with that, but
who you are and what you do. Because my LinkedIn profile has 8 companies that I work for, which I don't, but it's like these pavilion groups, a revenue something, something, right? It's groups that I'm a member. They said, I see that you're leading the Orlando tech community. I'm not, I'm just a member. I have that in my LinkedIn. So you already lost me because you're trying to pull
well,
it. So again, it's all about being prescriptive and learning what's the pain is, like a lawyer and a doctor. So you're not going to do that in an email. You got to do that once you get the meeting. So just tell them you got fear of missing out. What's in it for them? How does this help them build business? How does it help them keep their job? And why should I care? If we keep it that simple in your email and give them a real easy way for them to kind of connect, that's great. And if you send out enough, you're going to get meetings. That's why I send out the max that you should do, which is 20 to 30,000 emails and about 4,600 emails a month. I mean, most people are not doing the volume I'm doing and doing it with a specific persona-based, ICP-based, ideal customer profile, signal data, intent data. If they're posting a job for an SDR. Why would you think I wouldn't want to talk to them? Same thing for them. Like if they do consulting on Salesforce and they're an integrator, they're posting a job for Salesforce something, and it's a signal data that's on Apollo or Zoom or anywhere else or on LinkedIn. You might want to hit them up. Think about where people fish and fish where they fish because that's where the fishes are.
got it. But you haven't like used any AI or anything, or
I use ChatGPT to write some of my messaging.
write some of the messages. Okay.
And I refer to like, I hope you're enjoying your Friday morning. So it pulls the time of day, but I don't like to get, like I said, too much in assuming A, B, and C, because if B is wrong and A and C is right, I still lost. They could tell it's a bot.
Okay. So I want to pull up. I'm just going to share my screen real quickly and pull up a couple things that I want to just get your gut reaction on, which I think would be relevant to the audience. Okay. So this is a cold email from a few years ago. Can you see it?
Yeah, kind of. Yeah.
This is for a marketing agency.
Okay.
This
This,
is
this is to you or this is yours?
this is mine, or somebody in my team obviously wrote it for me to a potential client.
This is awesome. That's incredible. That's it.
And feel free to rip it up if you think it's bad.
I wouldn't put the phone number in there and ask them to call you. I said this is the first one. You're also asking who the best person is. I mean, I would say, I wouldn't wait. I would do that in the second or third one because if they haven't answered, right?
Why is that?
Because you got to assume that they are, and you got to assume that, they're not going to just call you up. So you got to people want to be structured on a time to talk. And they don't want to, in my opinion, but I'm not an expert in every little thing that everybody does, but I just have my own ways of doing things, but it's not bad. I have a little bit of like statement of who I am and why you should even listen to me.
So your general piece is related to the call to actions and just
Yeah. I could show you mine if you want to see it.
we can pull that up, but I just want to get your, and then what would you say is good about that? Or what would you have done similarly to this one?
I think I don't think it's too bad, but I would have a little bit what makes you a little bit different in here. It's not too salesy, but just what your company does a little bit more.
Got it.
And I would put here, hey, I would love to have a virtual cup of coffee with you. Here's my calendar, or please send me yours. And I would probably invite them. I would, if you were doing your podcast, I would say, hey, I would love to get you on my podcast. I'm doing one about A, B, and C, which is them. And we're going to have the first 10 people that I think could fit for this, get scheduled.
Nice. Okay. I'm going to show you one more. This is for a different company.
This is yours again?
This is not mine.
Okay. Yeah, that to me seems more dry.
Dry being bad or good?
Bad.
Not emotional enough is what is your kind
Yeah.
of,
I mean, the pro bono thing.
you like that or dislike?
I've tried. I wouldn't mention it here, but I've started doing that. The one thing I've been doing is, and this is I shouldn't even give this out because this is a really good trick, but not trick, but a win-win.
Okay.
I can people like someone is like has 20,000 connections. Maybe it's you, Chris. I say, listen, let's open up your LinkedIn for you and me. I'll automate your LinkedIn. I'll do a campaign for you, but on your first connections, you're going to say, hey, I'd like to introduce Michael. He's a friend of mine. As you know, I was in an email business and now I'm doing this, but Michael is someone that I trust to do email, LinkedIn roundtables. And I just thought I'd let you guys kind of take it from there. That's gotten me the most meetings out of anything I'm doing, is because you're walking me into your first connections and I'm either paying a referral or doing a campaign for you. I do that for 30 days. And then if you want to hire me, so that the pro bono is actually something I'm getting tons of value for, and it's not costing them anything or me anything. The most incredible thing I've figured out in this whole last 3 years is use someone's LinkedIn to help both people and you get clients. I mean, I get 12 to 15 Zoom calls a day because of that, partly because of that.
Interesting.
Yeah.
So you're kind of offering them something for free, but you're using it to kind of milk their connections, or
Not milk them, but to introduce me. But what happens is, like, if we did that for you, you would have, say, 20,000, and maybe there's 2,000 people you haven't talked to in a while.
Right.
That's thanks for Michael's info, but Chris, I need to talk to you about something.
It's perfect concept.
Right. But you actually get leads for yourself because you're introducing me, and it's not about you. Because you're touching somebody you haven't touched in two years or 1 or 2 months. It's amazing that was a byproduct that I saw. Was like, wow, you're actually getting leads too. And it's just because you're making an introduction. So
Interesting.
yeah. So that's the number one thing I'm doing right now. I'm like, okay, you're a solopreneur, you don't have money. How about if I prove to you that I'll make you money, but you got to make me money,
Interesting.
you know?
Yeah. So, okay, cool. So, and then I want to play you something real quick. This is a guy I had on yesterday. He's got a, have you heard of Salesforge?
Sales Forge?
Yeah.
No.
Sh- sh-
prospect, we're combining these data sources. So what sort of data sets? So what do you sell and what do we know about a prospect?
I think I didn't play the whole thing, but in any case, this guy has basically it's like a product, sort of beta product launch that he's doing like this week, where they're managing the domain and sender infrastructure.
Yeah,
I'm curious if you've seen anything like that.
I tried a company that does this in the UK, and he didn't answer his phone, and I basically fired him, and then it was horrible because I'm like, you know what, my email engineer is great, but I mean, I wonder if he gets hit by a bus, you know?
Yeah.
So, but the worst, the thing you can do is just send out 200 emails per inbox a day and make sure that they're authenticated emails, that they're verified, and you might be okay. And then mix up 5 to 10 domains. Is that what that guy's doing? Mailforge?
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, it might be someone might want to use. So send me his info.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, have you seen like do you see the value in something like a tool to manage, the sender infrastructure, like registering the domains and all that?
Myself, but if it can be done faster, I mean, that's what I use
Or what's the bottleneck for you? Is there a bottleneck in that process at all?
it's the 2-hour window I need for my email engineer to talk to their IT department, and their IT department's like, this is my sandbox. And then my guy is like, this is the best way of doing things. And he finds errors and he's like, let me fix this for you. And then it's like, then we got to spin it up. So I actually do it manually, where I go to GoDaddy and get a domain, and then I start sending emails, and I use 2 or 3 different domains. But I use mostly my email engineer. But I wanted to see how much deliverability would be better if I did it the old way and just used a lot of domains. But I use SendGrid to send out messaging, and I just make sure I have a opt out on every email as well.
Yeah. You mentioned like thinking about like, have you ever thought about doing your own SaaS in this cold email space, like competing with Apollo Outreach? You sort of mentioned that in the beginning there.
Oh no. Hell no. That's just like
A lot
engineering.
of headache. Yeah. Engineering,
No, I mean, no. No.
nice. So I guess the next piece here. So switching back to just the business, and then we'll kind of wrap up. Like when I was doing the cold email agency, I capped at maybe like 80-90K a month. Are you planning to scale, and how do you think you can scale this type of business? Like,
Yeah, I mean, that's just kind of how
hires and stuff.
I have a director of client service. I have a salesperson. I need to hire more salespeople and more client service people to get it up to, past my best is like 83 a month.
Yeah.
But how I'm sure you had kind of those, like this, you're like, oh, it's not working after 4 months. Like,
Yes.
me, it's you. It's your product, it's your solution. I'm just amplifying the best I can, and it works and it doesn't work, but it works most of the time if you have a good product, a good solution, and good salespeople.
How has that hiring been? Because last time I talked, you were looking for people, but how is that?
It's hard. It's hard. I don't trust a lot of people because I think people are not as good as me as far as their dedication. No one's going to have the passion for your company as much as you.
Agreed.
So I hired another black belt to my client service, and I hired another black belt that does sales. So
Are these full-time, remote?
yeah, they're 2 full-time, and then my wife works with me as well. And then my engineer is contractor. So I know these people for 8 years, and I know that to be a black belt in jiu-jitsu, it's very rare.
them already, yeah. Okay.
But, so I use that as I'm not going to hire someone. I hired some people in Mexico that didn't work out. And, I'm really more of like, let's hire people in the US and let's employ and I'm pro US as much as possible as far as helping our economy and everything. Are you still doing your agency?
No, I sold it all off in terms of all the contracts to just,
Why'd you stop?
I just, it was exactly, I couldn't scale it. I was doing it since 20. I mean, we did other marketing services as well. It wasn't just email, but I was doing it since like 2018. And yeah, I kind of wanted to do something else, something bigger. Like I just got tired of dealing with the clients, to be honest with you.
Yeah, it's
Clients, and I got bored of the email too. But
what that's why I do email LinkedIn roundtables. It's interesting.
yeah. And I also tried to, and this is, you haven't made this mistake, but I'm a younger guy with less sort of, I guess, worldly knowledge. So I hired like a lot of people. You know what I'm saying? Like to try to, like I wanted to, get really go big time with it.
Right.
And then,
It imploded.
yeah, it imploded. And we just tried to do a lot of aggressive stuff, like way too quickly, which probably if I was like a little older and wiser, I wouldn't have, been so impatient and done that.
How old are you?
30.
30.
But
I mean, 90,000, but if you're spending 90,000 hiring 30 people, that's not a lot of money.
yeah, exactly.
I mean, I'm mostly keeping 80. I'm keeping 80%. I'm keeping 80% of my money.
I mean, you got the wife of the operation, so that's like a whole other story there. But
Well, she's honestly, she's great, but she's not helping me enough.
got it.
She's learning still. She's not a tech person.
Yeah.
Really, the main guy that's helping me is my client service director, who I've known for 8 years, and he had to learn business too. So it's the one thing I'm like, man, I really got to make this. Should be like a $2-3 million business, but Benny, my friend, he did a lot of growth, and they did this right. I don't want to hire a bunch of people and stress out about personalities, and then I mean, Legion's very volatile. Or thinks they have a better company to work with. They're like, I don't really think you do. Yeah. Most of these people are hiring kids to help them. I'm 53 years old. I've been doing this for 25 years. And when I tell you I'm going to do something, I am going to do it. Yeah. I fired that other company in the UK that was supposed to do a different email setup because they can't even respond to an email.
Yep.
I'm like, you can't respond to his customer support. I mean, people call me at 9:00 at night on a Friday sometimes, or email me, hey, can you turn this thing off or do this? Or, hey, I want to, and I'm like, if I'm sitting there in bed watching TV or whatever, I'm not going to wait until the next day to talk to you.
Yeah.
People appreciate that. I have a sense of urgency.
Yeah. I think the cold email marketing agency space in general is a very like personal, very generational, you know what I'm saying? And so like the competitors that I see to you that are like in that space, like that, I feel like that's a lot of what the competition is the client service component of it. So I think that's where you kind of carve out your niche. But yeah, I'm just curious of if you're thinking about like scaling it and that kind of
I want to scale. I just every person I've like, even friends of mine I've hired, I'm like, nah, I can't.
Yeah, I feel the same way. It's just like, yeah, it's tough. It's easy to mess up. It's very hard to do right. You know what I'm saying? And
yeah,
it's much easier to mess up than it is to like get.
Yeah, really, you make it $1 million a year and most of it's profit. How much more do you need to make?
Right.
I want to make more money. Don't get me wrong.
I agree with you on that. I think that was a key mistake of mine. So, but I agree with you on that. But yeah, I was just wondering if like you were thinking if there was any, because there's another way to think about scaling, which is like, can I do like some other type of you know what I'm saying? Other type of services, like you could add cold callers. I've seen.
That's why I added LinkedIn and roundtables. I mean, not people are doing, most of the people I know that I compete with are just doing emails or they're doing SEO or I mean, I have SEO companies hiring me too. So it's like, I do something different, and I offer something that's very unique. Me.
Right.
I mean, 25 years of selling, you're not gonna get someone with my mindset and helping you. And I kind of go against the wisdom of writing emails. Like I go, don't write about yourself too much. Like mine, I kind of do because I'm not trying to sell product as much as I'm trying to sell trust.
Well,
Yeah.
cool. Mike, any, I guess, advice to people who are trying to start agencies in general or companies out there that you would have learned in your kind of tenure?
Just not everybody's a competitor. I mean, there's too many lead gen companies and too many clients you can get. So not everybody should be like worried about what someone else is doing. So I would say just do your thing and learn from your mistakes. I'd say probably outsource all your lead gen to me and do something else.
Nice. And where can people find you if they want to work with you and all that type of stuff?
It's fullthrottleFalatoleads.com. So it's a mouthful, but it's a nickname from a Marine. I'm an Air Force vet. So that was me doing jiu-jitsu. It's me
Right
doing throttle. It's Michael at fullthrottleFalatoleads.com, or you can call myself 512-639-3375.
Perfect. Thanks for coming on.
Thanks, Chris.